Punters, dribblers, traders and investors, welcome to another Traders Community Podcast. We're just back from the long Easter weekend, so welcome to everyone, and looks like we came back with a bit of a bounce. So we're going to talk about that in the markets. We're going to talk and remind to be wary of, and today's theme is the risk of longs, particularly once it hits peak dribbler. We saw that in natural gas, which moved over $1. We saw it also in, of course, one of the golden tech stocks, one of the FANGs, Netflix, just routed for over 20% after the market, which fits in with so many dribbler scenarios. So, again, focus on that. Big moves on oil. We had the API number after the market, and we're going to go through a few stocks. We got the glorious Madavi here, who is going to also spend a bit of time talking to us about the opioid settlement and how that could affect things. So, without further ado, just remember, not financial advice. We're just here discussing the goings-on, what we hear around the desk, what we see, things we may be doing and like the look of. So keep that in mind. Always trade sensibly, invest wisely, punt accordingly if that's your game, knowing the risk that you can lose everything, and beware of the dribbler and the genuine person. So that you may be seeking advice. In other words, trade with your own knowledge, your own risk, and your own capabilities. So there you go. There's our post-Easter warning, I guess. So here we have it. So let's start off with where we are on the market as we come to speak. So right now we had oil came off. It's been coming up and down today, almost daily, big $5-6 swings. A lot of that's to do with thin markets, high margins, less players, and constant news bombs. We had the IMF and World Bank warn on the economy. Well, I mean, really, how is that even remotely a surprise? We've never really come out of, some would argue since 2008, but we've never really come out, obviously, of COVID. We got a war going on, interest rates through the roof, inflation, supply. So some would argue, how incapable are these punters? Are they the true dribbler? S&P held, and we'll go through it. We spent before how key those weekly and daily numbers were on NovaWave, and we held those again. We're at 4450 right now on the S&P. The Russell, the small cap index, tested 2,000, got above it, and ran. The Nasdaq, also a sharp little session. You can see here this big jump down, like a ledge. That is called Netflix. IBM actually had earnings as well. They're up a little bit. They're not in the same boat, obviously. They're up, I can't remember, maybe 3%. Netflix was down 20%. And so that's where we are. So we're at just at 14,111 on that. Vol was coming off sharply through the day, a little bit of a bid after Netflix. And natural gas, after it went under $7 from $8 yesterday, has rallied since those lows to be $7.20. Okay, let's get into the SPOOs. So the mighty SPOOs, let's look at the weekly. So some say this is magic, not really. It's just a bloody good system. Anyway, all jokes aside, we spat that weekly, held it perfectly. That's your orange tankin right here, and your cloud. And look what we closed right back testing the Cajun. So you got a bit of push me, pull me going on there. So pretty clinical stuff. And remember the two outlooks there. Nothing changes there. On the daily, same thing. We clipped this minus 6/8, which was the breakup, if you recall. We did a false break under the Cajun there on the daily, and we were held up by weekly. That's why we use different time zones. And as you'll see, even better with the 240. And you can see what went on there. The big spit yesterday of minus 4.8 off plus 1.8. So really in old money, that would be a recalc. You can see where it did. You can see this little reverse head, cup and handle here. Tested almost a double top there. It needs to get above this to run. You can see all the resistance. And Netflix got a good job of banging that one in the head, right? So pretty clinical. You can see the measured move, 6/8 there. And we also, after Netflix, is 50 on the 240. So 240 is a good one to give you for the medium term. And hourly, you can see even more specifically the minus 4.8. We got above all these. It was very choppy though. So this was really, the break didn't really come here till 20 as far as add-ons for those doing the pyramiding in. Okay, so let's bring on, so pretty straightforward trade with that today. As you know, off that weekly. So it was really good if you're disciplined and you stuck with that. That was a nice pop. Just to go back, I'll put it on the hourly to show you. And what we're doing a lot of the times is you just take your profit, right? So that there alone is nearly 100 handle move, to put it in perspective. Well, for here it is, but from there is more than that. Okay, let's bring on. Well, you know what? I should bring up Nas by itself. So we look at Nasdaq. So Madavi actually was a bit more active in stock indexes today. Oil and natty gas were the focus, of course, on the energy desk. So let's have a look at Nasdaq on the daily. You can see the difference here. Remember, SPOOS was all above this, right? This has really struggled. You can just see how much weaker it is. So, Madavi, here you go. Here's the 60-minute chart for you, mate.
Yeah. So, I didn't really, in the futures, I try to fade this rally a little bit, and I didn't have very much success. And then when I seen I can't beat them, I joined them and basically rode it along in the futures, in the S&Ps, and Russell. I mean, the market was extremely strong today. Kind of took me by surprise, but, can't fight the tape. I tried it for a couple of days, it didn't work, so I joined the circus.
It is a circus. Great way to put it, actually, mate. It's just amazing. So as we talk about how bearish it gets and bullish, technicals just take that out. Sorry, mate.
We got 10-year treasuries pushing up to about 3%, which I would have thought that would have broke the camel's back, but I guess not.
Well, I think what happens, the market with this modern information flow so fast, and so many people, particularly in the last 2 years, declare themselves experts on everything, right? So, but in reality, they're just copying each other. So they all get one way. We see that as we talk when we look even more when we look at natural gas charts, but we talk about natural gas, Netflix, and how bearish they get. And bond, and so the interest rates, we were almost 3% this morning, and we'll talk about the bonds in a little bit, but across the curve and everything, there's some big stuff going on. The problem is, and you've said it before, is we're already well into the bull market the bear market for a lot of the dribblers, stocks, tech stocks, and that's why we're seeing some bounce lately in the last couple of weeks in these penny stocks and stuff like that. And also energy stocks were just so beatly down, and now that of course they're getting big highs. So you got this real converse, and people. I mean, just look at the nonsense that goes on about Twitter. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know what Elon's saying, just like they know everything. It just amazes me. The whole dribbler world. I just didn't realize people were that smart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean. Oh yeah. So when they're all that, and they're notoriously and most of them don't have skin in the game, they're just scamming. I mean, nice way to put it, I guess, for whatever. And there's enough people that got destroyed, so they're looking for any way out. And, they tend to go to the cheapest thing. So you get what you pay for, basically, and all that stuff, right? As we know, it's we constantly try to warn on. So let's talk. A good point. Where did we have that bond chart hiding away? I think we have it. For some reason, I have it on stocks. But so let's look at the June 10-year. So remember, bond prices up is lower yields. Bond prices down is higher yield. So this is what Madhav is talking about. This is a 10-year contract, the 10-year bond, which is a benchmark, right? So you compare that with every country in the world has their major 10-year to compare it about. It's a business. Look where it closed, on its lows. So look at this move from 121, almost 122, 121, 10, 21, 30 seconds, down to 118. That's a big move, right? And stock market went up. So they ignore everything. There's a constant peak this, peak that. I think it's as simple as people get too much one way, they leverage all hell, they only know FOMO, and they got to make money because so many people just don't have a sustainable income. Since the lockdown, actually probably before then, and now costs are through the roof. I mean, I just look every time we go to even Costco, which is a bulk place, right? I know it's not as cheap as Sam's or something, but you notice it. I mentioned when we had the air conditioning filled up last week. I still can't get over that. I think my son's sick of me talking about that one. But fill up your tank. My eldest made the point. How much? It's almost double. And not quite here, but not far. And that's in Texas. $3.50 we're filling up. In California, we're mentioning $7. Your gas prices, everything, So in reality, and real wages, as we saw in that last CPI report, were way down. So anyway, we got that going on. So here we have yields. Sorry,
my
mate.
grocery from Amazon is going up. Somebody's ordered, it's, hey, why wait, gas, let them deliver it. But now they got surcharges and everything.
Oh, mate. Yeah, that's right. You're getting your food. Yes, I remember now.
Yeah, well, I hate going to stores and stuff, dealing with have them drop it off, put it in my garage.
Well, I think I get it.
Actually, Walmart's got it where they come over there and even pack it in your fridge. Maybe I can start ordering from Walmart.
Mate, there you go. Actually, we did do for Christmas. They had, I think I might have told you this. I think it was Christmas or Thanksgiving, one of the turkey days. We ordered from Walmart, and you drive in, they fill your car up, you just flip your boot, in it goes. Good stuff. So here's the inverse of that. This is the yield. The 10-year, for some people aren't comfortable with the bond price, so they're more comfortable with the yield. Look where it's 29.51. And look at this break. It hadn't looked back. So you can see technically it's just a great way of visualizing it, keeping a discipline. We do have in our report that goes with this at the end of the day on the website. Today's theme, as we said, Netflix and natural gas remind the longs of dribbler risk. So some people think it's a joke, we're having a piss take. We're 100% trying to protect people from that, right? And unfortunately, we fall on deaf ears because a lot of dribblers have the, what is it, BT Barnum, whatever. So they have the gift of the gab. But anyway, let's look at bonds real quick so you see what's going on. Here we go. So the interesting thing, the shorter tenors are finishing behind longer tenors, right? Despite relative strength. So they have a bit of strength and then they get pounded. So the 5-year and the shorter, which is 3 and 2s, started up at flat. Then the 10s and 30s underperformed for the rest of the day. Underperform means basically yields going up, right? So remember, you're thinking in terms of bonds. So that continued for, if you remember, we came back from Easter, and actually I think, and it's pretty well been, as you saw in the chart, it's been a constant slide, but they banged out multi-year lows yesterday, and we continued, and the market didn't care. So that left the 5-year yield to a new high for the year, and the 3s and 2s are on the verge of doing the same. So in other words, we're going up everywhere. And look at these rates. 2 years, 258. So that's and it's kind of laughable when you had 2 Fed governors out today going on about rates. Inflation's 8 or 9. But you look, it's right across. The 30-year is 299. Let's call it 3. And as Madavi said earlier, and Thursday, we're pushing towards 6% for the mortgage bond. That's a hell of a lot of money. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if wages were going up and salaries going up. And a lot of people have kept going. They've done things like second mortgages, equity loans, and that's obviously under pressure. And if they're supplementing it with income, let's hope it's not on trading Netflix. Because a lot of the punters will go short. Not always, though, but dribblers, it's against their religion, it seems. So that's interesting. Those levels are all there. And in here, let's talk about those Feds. You had Bullard, who's your resident hawk, said that because he took 75 basis points yesterday, that whacked it. He probably got a call in and said, hey, mate, you need to slow that crap down, right? You know, we don't want the bottom to fall out. They're probably looking at that Cajun chart. So he's saying it's not outside the realm of possibilities. He doesn't expect such a big increase to take place. Then followed up by Evans, who's there's not many as hawkish as Bullard, said he doesn't see the need of rate hikes more than 50. So they obviously wound that back. We had housing numbers out today, which were better than expected and stronger, which every time there's a good number, yields go up, bonds down, and then it flows through, right? And permits increase. So that's going on. All the stocks that were in play today, we've got those covered there. Okay, as far as other markets go, Europe was down. Remember, they closed before us. Asia was all down except for South Korea and Australia. Japan was up as well. Anyway, let's talk commodities. Well, let's just get straight into energy, So we'll start off with the oil. So oil's been this is a weekly chart and a daily chart we're going to go through. So on daily, you can see these big reversals, and these are expensive points. So spare a thought for the hedges. But look what we're doing technically. We're just getting to the top of the cloud, and we sell off. But what's interesting, things like the Cajun, whereas back here you could see support and resolution, it's just all haywire, which just shows you there's a lot of broken aspects of this market. Support is this old 61.8, this Tenkan and 50 right there, as you can see, just over, and that's also the 50. So we closed around just around 102.5. If we go weekly, you can see how clinical this stuff is. So machines are running this, and people are also covering their book via optionality. However, because look what it's stopping at. The dead high was the weekly Tenkan. Like, unbelievable how this stuff. It's just, if you're a trader, this is all a gift from God, basically. I don't want to upset people by saying that, but it's just an expression. Natgas, how bloody good. So, how good was this one? Look what it did. -2/8, recalc, but full 8/8 move, spit over $8, perfect confluence. I remember, this is over 3 or a 5, right? So we watched the ABCs play out there. That was just, and so stocks that went in that, they're usually delayed because they're not the pros in it. On the daily, you can see it here even clearer because this recap. Look at that 8/8. Look at the Cajun, just classic. If you know your Nova Wave, I mean, just perfect confluence. And look at this. This is our big level. And look what we tested today, punters. The bloody tanking. Boom. Okay. See this? Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for better markets. I swear to you. Here's the 60 just to show you what went on. Plus 1/8 on that even. Resolution. Little pennant. Look at your patterns. Bang. Held the 50 for a while. Bang. There was weather changes. All that. But basically the market just gets one way. And the dribblers just become fodder for those that are in the market, right, and familiar with it. You notice, as I've said 100 times, me and Madavi, we trade different things from specialties over the year, different commodities. Like he does more gold and stuff. I'm more energy. But we don't venture into stuff we don't know because we don't know the risk. If you don't know the risk, you're just punting and gambling, right? So, oil, we went through. We did that one. Let's have a look at commodities. And talking about gold. So gold, look at this. Got right tail 8/8, sold off again. So we had that nice pump up on the weekly. So you can just see it's working it. And again, this one's even got thinner. As you can see with the tanking here, the orange line. Now it's a big ask. Gold's been pretty impressive when you consider how high yields are. And we'll look again at that dollar yen. As we've been talking about, a lot of these assets, particularly in commodities, are being funded by this little beauty. Look at dollar yen. Unbelievable trade there. And a lot of big boys made an absolute squilling on this. Very, very weak. And you can see 129.25. This is one of the biggest moves I've seen in a long time. 30. And it was all predictable. This is why you have a strategy. You don't just copy and paste crap. You listen to people know what they're talking about because this was just classic. Really good. This has been really good. Obviously, the standout is with the yen this week. It's what's impressive for commodity and the biggest trading partner with these guys is Australia is commodities. I mean, it says it all. It's got expensive. But they've got no choice to buy it. So look at that versus the Aussie. There's the Aussie straight out versus a dollar. So you can see that. Crypto, some big moves. I know someone was pretty heavy trading crypto last 24 hours.
Yeah. I got tired of stocks, so I switch over to crypto, change it around. Then until I seen some stocks flying again, and had to jump in and put my magic skills on.
Magic. That sounds like a song or two. But on a serious note, look. So he's called this. He hasn't traded forever. He saw this double break here. Look at this, and it just ran beautifully. That's like from the whole move's 3,000, but this breaks about $2,000 on the coin, the mighty Bitcoin.
He's running again.
Which one?
CRXT.
Oh, that one. Yeah, we did trade that a week or so. We didn't do that today. We looked at it. Okay, couple of good stocks. Walmart's one, you all know, bigger pattern. Just beautiful off this Cajun. Had a false break here. So when you get these falsies and they hold, that's a good buy. And conversely, sell signal. Apple. Finally, where's Apple here? Do you see it down the bottom? Apple. There it is. So Apple had a little bit of life, but off technical levels, right? The Cajun. And so one that we liked today was a good news play. We've traded before. We kind of got lucky on this one. We sold $5 puts on this. Expired on Friday at like $4.65, so we ended up owning it. So we sold $5 maybe 6 weeks ago. Got 50 cents. Kept them. Hadn't sold calls against the length. They come out with their earnings and all this good stuff on their deals. Let me just put it in. And this is a German company that's been covered on Traders Community by a few people. So we were familiar with it. I nearly put... we were familiar with it because of that. So it's an EV that was an IPO last year out of Germany. Oops, sorry. That is solar car. So it's taking a while here to bring it up because we haven't traded this. So this is one of those things, if you know your book, we'll take our luck, we can get it. And basically this has covered a lot of that loss from that sun stuff that failed, that solar company. But look at this. So this traded nicely. We got the news and was able to run with it. It went further than what we thought. But really, we took profit here. And then some volume came back into it. And Madavi actually traded this really well. So I'll get him. I'll tell you, I'll go through what we did on options. But if you want to walk us through this one, because it's been a really good trader.
Which one?
The SEV. Which I got up there.
SEV. Well, I mean, you look at the stock. It had some good news coming out today. What's the news on it exactly, mate?
They had their earnings, which was better than expected, and they also confirmed of a lot of deliveries and for their they have like a electric bus, and it's all solar powered. So Elon must love this one.
So what I liked about this is what I first did is the movement in the stocks. Then I went and checked, see how many shares it has, and it had flipped the float. I think by mid 11 o'clock, 3 times float. So it means it did 33 million shares, and the float's 10,000,005, and on really strong buying. So that gave me really good conviction that this thing still had more legs to go up. When you see a stock that flips its float 300%, it means it's churning the float 300%. It means there's a large interest of buyers in there, and there's a good chance the stock will continue in an upward trajectory, maybe for a day or two or longer. And the way I was thinking, the stock could even get as high as maybe even $10. I'm still long a little bit right now. I might even hold this overnight, but it's on a strong footing. It's made a nice run up, and it's held a lot of the gains. So, to me, those are the stuff I look at. There's a pattern all these types of stocks follow, and this fits in right into the pattern of it. A lot of these stocks that are like, check out this STSS. It had a
which one?
STSS.
I think we traded. Oh, is that the one we shorted? No. That's the one that was a new IPO, right? I think.
I'm not sure what it is, but if you look at it, it's hit a high of 362. Now it's back down to
yeah. This is a new IPO.
So it's dropped a lot of those gains it made and showing weakness. But look at this stock. I mean, it started at a low of $4. It's at $7.45. It's only $1.30 off its highs, and it's holding pretty well. So that's the difference between these types of stocks that could have more upside than the ones that are just a day trade for a day, flipping and like hot rocks. Everybody just flipping the rocks. So those are some of the things I look at when I'm trading these types of things, and there's a pattern that keeps on repeating for the last several years. And when I think I'm recognizing these types of patterns, I try to stay with it, and most of the time it works out.
Right. And you so actually while we're on STSS, so that was there's actually an article by it on Trades Community. Suba Harley put on. So that's the smart safety syringes. So they got those syringes you don't spike yourself. So
here's another pattern, for example, SST. That's a pattern we knew it was going to go. It rounds up, and eventually it's going to sell off. So for the last 3 weeks, I've just been getting short the stock and just in options.
Oh, that's
finally, yesterday it broke. You know, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
What was that? That's
FST, remember I bought so I'm still short.
yeah. So on foot, yeah, we've been playing this each weekend, like not the weekend, but the last day of the week, on Friday, same day options. And so you can see on this chart, this is just the past week, but actually, let me go bring a longer chart so we can show the.
It was as high as $40 almost. Yeah,
so we saw this play, and so what we noticed, there was punters in the option, so we did this trade, and the vol was real high, so you got to get out, but vol started to come off, so we were able to really do this. This is on a Friday settlement. That was really good a week ago, not the Friday's kind of one before. So that was one of our great trades, actually, I think, mate. That was you really picked that one out. And then we did it again. Hang on, let me get the dates right. So this little bit here on Friday, and the vol came off by the end of the day. So he was like maybe a $9 winner. He was about a $4 winner. But what Madavi actually bought next week, started buying into it because vol was coming off, and look what's happened. So finally, the got broken. Yeah, I
had a lot more, and I ended up exiting a lot of it. If I had all the options I had, it would have been really nice, you know, because I got out almost half of it.
Yeah, but you at least kept it. I actually didn't add back on, unfortunately. And what I like what you did, so when vol came off, remember, all the punters. I wouldn't think there's many investors in here. There's probably dribblers fell in. To be honest, I can't remember what they do. But obviously,
for like 3 weeks. You remember?
Yeah. Well, do you remember? Yeah, it's a dribbler type thing, you know. But they're less and less what they. So what they were doing, because they're caught long and they don't want to get out, so they average it. You can see all the averaging. So, but then they started selling the calls down because they want some premium. So one trade Madavi did really good. This 1350, he was able to buy the calls for like 40 cents to hedge him against those puts and the short. So that's what often happens, and that'll tell you when they're caught the wrong way, when they offer the calls down too much.
I sold those calls. I sold some as high as $3, but last time I sold the calls, I sold them $1.15 and $1, and I got out when it were 20 cents, 15 cents.
Yeah. And that was one way. That's right. He funded his.
Plus trading in stock.
So if we go back to SEV, let's go back to this one. So I'll just show you what. So I did a little bit different here. So we did the punter. So luckily, I mean, you just get lucky sometimes. It happened to be long. I'll give you the tip though. This was an IPO from last year. Got to $40, $50 actually. So there's a lot of people caught on it. So a lot of those stocks I've bought of some of them, and some of them have just continued to get wrecked, even though they were up at one stage. You think they're going to bounce, but they didn't. Sun W's in one, IRNT. So we cut a lot of them because if they have no volatility, for some reason this always had good premium, I think because it's German, ADR. So it's going to be. I'm going to watch how the Germans handle this little beauty tonight for tomorrow. But anyway, on this move up here, I was able to sell 1250 calls for next month, May, for like all the way from 85 to $1. Remember that? And at the same time, I was selling $5 puts here for 50 cents. So we're up here when we're doing that. Obviously, if you did it down here, you'd get more. But we weren't going to do that. So anyway, by the end of the day, those calls we sold here getting hit on bids here at 740 and 745. So nice day trade, double your money right there, a little bit more. Here's what's interesting. There was substantial call volume, so which also helped us do this. So what happens is a lot of sweeping goes on at it was $7.50 and $10 and $12.50 with a strike. So they all had heavy volume. So they buy them just to get tell the hedging going. And a lot of the dribblers that don't have money, they get all excited. They're all talking to each other. They got these little scanners. So they're going to buy that shit. And that's who I was selling to, right? I mean, loved it. Beautiful, really, right, mate? And you also can tell how you get hit. You're selling 100 and you might get 1, 2, 3. They're not 50 mine sort of stuff. Anyway.
And then this morning, there was another great little stock out. It was a buyout. It was a $2 stock, and they bought it out. I think was...
yeah, I didn't do that. You told me after the event, because it was so fast, you couldn't grab me.
It started with like a $2 stock, and it went up to $10. I mean, it was a great little trade because you knew where the top was and where the bottom is. So it was a good little trade.
What was that? I remember. I think someone did an article on it. Let me find it.
I'm just pulling it up right now. Hold on. 1 second. It is CMPI.
Yep. So there's an article on that too somewhere on the side. It's so Regeneron is buying them. They're called Checkmate Pharmaceuticals. So they're buying them for what, $10.50, right? Yeah, all in cash at $10.50. So that's what Madavi's saying is. You're able to grab it and you knew the cash price. Now, it's a little bit different to, I know people are saying Twitter. But this is different. This was an amicable agreement. It had a definitive agreement on the buy. So you knew that was going. It was a $250 million thing. They're just going to pay cash for it. We all know who Regeneron is. So it's a good deal. So here's the chart, and look at that, just straight up vertical, right to 10.39. There's always some risk, so there's 11 cents risk. Whatever it could be, they could find something further in due diligence or whatever. So, but not much, right? That was a nice trade. That was a good one.
Yeah. That was a great day to start to work. Then I started taking a bunch of losers. That's when I went to the Bitcoin, go play around with that.
That's scary when you go to Bitcoin, right?
Like, man, this market just gets, the SPOOs and the NQs, it's been terrible.
Yeah, so I guess, because as you noticed, we did a few swing buys off big levels like today, but basically, Natgas and oil have been the good ones for futures. There's been some really good currency moves. That dollar yen has been insane, right?
Yeah. So I get one good trade like that CMPI, then I just get all these losers and everything, and just kind of wears me out. Well, I just didn't want to deal with it.
Actually, I remembered you did a good one at the end of the day on Netflix earnings too, because Netflix got cracked.
That was an easy one. I mean, when these stocks, the stock always earnings, they go up 100 points either way. So as soon as it talks about subscribers and revenues, I mean, that's why this whole stock was a $500-600 stock, because it's a growth stock. It keeps growing. Once that shit show's over, I mean, the stock just starts collapsing, and that's what happens to these high flyers. I mean, they the street will pay for growth, but as soon as the growth stops, the music chairs, will start falling, be pulled out also. So we'll see how this goes.
Here's a funny thing with that one. I mean, let's think about that one logically. So there's been a plethora of these streaming, right? You got Apple TV, Netflix, Amazon TV, Disney TV, and then all the HBOs and all that. Peacock's out there. So there's all these different streaming things. And a lot of people just want streaming for sport as well, right? Kind of all I look at, right? The NRL from Australia, and do yourself a favour if you want to watch a good sport, or MLB or NFL, whatever your sport is. A lot of people don't even want that, right? So you're seeing a shift for sports rights and betting, obviously, fantasy. So anyway, they put up their price over 50% in some nations, their sub price, plus all this, plus a low in real wages. So I don't know how it was a surprise to you, mate. The odds were.
Plus, they want to cut back on people sharing accounts and everything.
Yeah. I think they might have caught up on it a little bit. I don't know. But what's different? And you can't get it through to know-it-all dribblers. So as you know, there's a couple of really good short guys that are good traders we like that just cop it all the time for dribblers. Wifey is a good example out there. He bothers to put his stuff on Twitter. He knows what he's talking about, and they just wrestle him. And he goes both ways, right? Algo-driven stuff, spot on. The moment I see that shit, and a couple of these dribblers will have an attack on us, I'm like, give me strength, So do yourself a favour, Warren, but a lot of this stuff they're in constant reminder of these people are just trying to average, I noticed on that chart we had a dribbler, we took profit on path and we play around. So this one here I had SWN for a reason. So this was a real easy smasher this morning. So Southwestern, as you've heard me many times, is a cheap, natty play. I drive past them every other day on the bloody expressway. They're right there on I-45 up just before the Woodlands. For those that know Houston. So this one, because it's cheap, got a lot of the punter action, late investor stuff from 5 to 8.70, but it moves with the price. So if you know the futures price, some of the biggest stocks are a little bit different, but this is one that basically nearly went bankrupt. Natty, and look at this, bang! This is an easy short, cheap. It's only 30 cents. Now here's one that we played on Thursday, did we? We played this before Easter, I think, right? This is a little beauty. So this one we've smacked at like $15, thin as hell. I just happen to remember it was natural gas. So the name of the game on this one, and it is a game, is Indonesia Natural Gas Fund or something. So I buy it. We pretty well helped it go up, I think. So it went from 15 to 29, right? So it went up again today. Let me go hourly. So this is it. All of a sudden, natty. It hits the high-low. It runs. Then Madavi does a bit of due diligence. I better check this little bugger out. Remember that? Yeah. Then we find out it's basically just a shell game, right?
Oh, yeah, great name.
So
it's supposed to be an Indonesian company that's ran by a guy from, Taiwan?
Yeah, Taiwan and a few other punters in Hong Kong. Got them all going on.
And their balance sheet looks like my 3-year-old bank account.
So, that gives a good example. It just shows you that people buy what they don't know. Look, we're traders. We went, we knew what we were doing. And you could short this, a little bit expensive being shorted. Huh?
What's a hell of a mover?
Yeah. These are 60-cent spreads and stuff. So this ain't for the faint-hearted. This is definitely punter, trader territory.
And another giveaway is every time they issue stocks, they also do a little reverse to tighten it back up so they can get moving again.
Yeah. They don't muck around. They know they're stock promoters, basically. So I nearly cracked laughing. So anyone who knows Indonesia, it was run by Suharto for a long time, the family. Obviously a lot of deals. Went with oil and gas, big, massive natural gas player. So in their little prospectus or their filings, it goes something along the lines of, hey, we got all the natural gas players that big companies don't want, right? That's what we're picking up, and that's what they're raising their money for. So as soon as I saw that, we delved further. Let me think here, Exxon or BP, whoever's there. And you got a leader like that, who obviously is on the corrupt side. You got to get all the good quality fields, right? So there's a few little warnings. That's a good one. And you'll see that a lot in energy, gold, mining, all that sort of stuff. Not just in the, you see it all the time in tech stocks, right? So,
I thought it was like Malaysian oil or something. And I looked at that thing, I was like, oh no, Malaysia I think does a lot better than $2 in the bank account.
It's a good reason why I do due diligence. And again, so this is probably something some dribbler got out. Oh, it's Indonesian natural gas. Who's bought it up here? And, I'll hold it and, all that sort of stuff. So,
if most of you guys learn how to read these filings and these balance sheets and really expose, if you know what you're looking for, in a matter of seconds, you can expose the company and know what's about.
Yeah. And so remember on that's why you definitely watch volume. You watch your levels. So even this, right? Look at these levels. I mean, this told you the fact it's so wide that actually expanded, right? From minus 1/8 to plus 1/8. If we were looked at it daily, you can see this has had a few runs. So we actually punted, Meta Johnny got in, discovered this originally a long time ago in March. And I remember saying, dude, me and my dad were like, you're crazy, man. Look at this. So he went to plus 2/8, gave one of the greatest shorts of all time, $88. But as I recall, we couldn't short it up here. There's no way we could borrow it. We tried every way, didn't have options, nothing. So look at this. $4. Actually, geez, they did well, all that money. So it looks like it's about 80 cents. All the way to $88. Back down to 12. And then we trade Natty. We saw it. We saw the name. Boom. But yeah. So crazy moves. Now, one chart before we love you and leave you, we should look at is...
Here's a stock to keep an eye out for. Johnson & Johnson came out and reported today talking about how their COVID NVAX, whatever vaccines are basically not a hot ticket anymore. And it went down initially, then it came back and basically bribing the shareholders with a nice dividend and just ran back up. But Moderna and NVAX, especially this NVAX, that's going to end up being a 50-cent stock. $500 to 50 cents. You watch. They were late on the game. They finally maybe got into Japan. Demand's dying off. They just totally goofed their opportunity. So
that reminds you of OCGN is kind of like that too. It never went to those lofty levels, but it did go from like $1 to $20 or something.
You're right. NVAX was $500 stock.
Yeah, crazy. Well, let's first look at Johnson & Johnson you talked about. So look at that, a gap down $7 on their earnings, and then it rallied all the way up to get to 186. Another good measured move. Look at that. So what is that? 170. So it rallied $18. So exploded here in Abu Dhabi. So people are looking for dividends. So, okay. So I got to ask a good question today. Why would you buy a dividend at 2% when bonds are, say, 3%? So, yield. Well, there's more to a stock than yield. You got the risk, the benefit, the opposite of risk, the potential that it can go up, and you get the dividend. Also, it's a shorter tenor, to use a bond term, rather than locking in for 10 years or whatever. So, but you do have that, and you can see that here. And so they've banged it. So let's look at what was the NVAX, right? So NVAX was one. The great man Al, the legend that he is, actually had this NVAX. I want to say at 40 or 50 cents. I could be wrong. I'll look at the chart. I'll remind it.
$3. I lost money.
Oh man, I got plenty of those. So the great Al, he's very, 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 very good stock picker. Sometimes he tends to not exit the well and gets a little bit heavy, but unbelievable at picking this shit. So COVID hit us around here, right? Mind you, I will, and Al won't mind us selling us. He did not believe COVID was a thing until the NBA cancelled the season, because he's a massive NBA. He didn't believe it until then, remember that? But anyway, look what he picked. So he's picked this up here, 60 cents, I think, right? It was under $1 anyway. Look what it did. It ran to 190, came back to set 54, and this is at level $330, and it's come all the way back to $50. That's quite the thing. And if I correct, they didn't do any secondaries or anything, right? Because they got all that government money and all that sort of stuff. So these are the moves and risks. This is also, this stuff like this and Moderna, they get on CNBC, who are in the whole dribbler conspiracy, or continuum, whatever you want to call it. Oh, these things go up forever. No, they don't. Bang. Just think how much money. So you've lost 3/4 of your money, basically. And if you're leverage this stuff, it's a real problem. So who was the other one you just mentioned? Moderna, right? I think Moderna...
But Moderna actually managed it really well for the opportunities to get rollouts and everything. But NFLX just dropped it, you know. But they get a little money, you know. They did it well on that, you know. They don't have to ever worry about cash for a little bit.
So, yeah, Moderna, actually, we did some good stuff short. So, some classic stuff here, technically. +4/8 from -4/8, right? And let's get this was under $1 as well. There was also a massive psychological level, $500, right? Just shy of 500. Look how much it overblew. Now, this stuff isn't easy. This is where the really, really big guys that know what they're doing just destroy things, right? So remember I've mentioned before, if the only reason you're long a stock is because people are short it, other than that idiot, and that's well, I shouldn't really say that, I don't know the bloke, but the guy from GME who did it a couple of times, they generally know why they're shorting it, and this is where they started shorting it on this spike. This spike here is when the CNBC, I want to say it was them, said this is a stock you got to have in your portfolio. $500, went down to 100, and now it's 150s. 150, right? So look at that. So these are dramatic moves, right? Let's look at the dribbler du jour. The dribbler du jour can only be one, right? Starts with N, ends with X. And we'll finish with this. Madavi did a really good short on this. We'll finish with that. Before we do that, just remind you one thing. Remember the spit that happened the other day gave a great short on Russell. We're now building this pennant. You want to see what this does. Do a little line over that. You got your cloud, but just do it. Keep it real simple for that one. And you can see it's spitting around tanking. So this is kind of like some of those other ones. You can see liquidity's bad when it's... Look at this chop and chop. See how nice it was, right? Okay, anyway, let's look at the dribbler du jour. Netflix, right? So again, this is one that, you got to have, a must-have. And all these dribblers that spin shit, and that's the nicest way I can put it, that were never bullish. Oh, they looked at bull crap, and now they're all saying the end, bonds, just do yourself a favor. Don't listen to them, block them, whatever you want to do, unless you're really confident in your trading and there's something, you pick a pattern up and you can just smack them the other way, right? Because when they're right, it's just a pure fluke. Simple as that, right? So this is a great example of that. Netflix, $700. We're half of that today. Half of that.
Like I said, when the music stops, these things get pounded. You see it in NFLX, all these ones.
Well, this one's about to get more exciting because I got this as the weekly close, as a piece de resistance. So we're actually, when I put the hourly up, it's going to be even more impressive, right? You ready?
Which one?
Netflix, that's weekly, so that's how it finished on the week. Let's see what the little bugger did. You know because you just covered the short. But look at this. So look at this, punters and dribblers. Oh! That's 100. Another 100. These are big. That's $100, mate. So this is today's earnings. So the hard thing with this is, if you're short, and so we did look at options on this. Fair expensive. And so basically you had to have a move like this, a $20 move to make it worthwhile, which you got, but it's whether you're willing to take it. But if you went in short, which is a proper way to play this, because you can borrow this for nothing, look at this move. 148, 258. Now, the best of my knowledge is this was the first time it dropped subscribers. Now, we all knew that everyone surmised was going to happen, but they officially announced it. So that's $100. So let's go back to the weekly and look at that on a. Oh, listen.
Before on the earnings, and then came back 2 days or a week later, right back up.
Right. Well, look at this, though, mate. There's a gap down on this that it never recovered. So 520 down to 400. It did gap up. It's $80 of it, but it never did the whole thing.
But guess who they're blaming it on?
Huh?
Guess who they're blaming it on?
Okay. So it's going to be out of Donald Trump.
No.
Omnicom. Russia.
They got out of Russia. They lost 1 million subscribers. You know, like everything else in the world goes wrong. Blame it on Russia.
Well, here's the next thing then. Okay. So we've blamed it on Donnie. We're blaming it on COVID. Blame it on supply.
Russiagate, bro.
Hang on. We're now blaming on Russia. So my question, energy prices too. Got to blame that.
Russia.
Who's the next one? What's the next one? Is it Elon? I noticed they're working up Elon a little bit on the Twitter thing. What do you think's the next week's big blame?
Hey, next week Eli will be Russian.
He's far from Russian, that bloke. I'll give you the tip. But on a serious, no, Russia. What's the next thing? Because we have an election coming up in America, right? November.
Everything I see is either those three major guys: Russia, Donnie, or whoever else. You know.
Well, it was COVID forever. They still do blame a bit on. Actually, that's true. On what's his name?
But Russia is always the go-to guy, especially when Donnie.
Well, they did kind of. Oh, back then, yeah, I forgot about that little detail. Good point.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, this is all on Russia. This $100. Okay, trick question then. Let's go back to the weekly. What was this $400 on? What's that blame on?
Well, Russians weren't subscribing fast enough.
Well, no, they weren't doing it. Well, they can't read anyway. So anyway, what's this? So anyway, the point we're trying to make is there's no responsibility for everything. There's always someone to blame. At the end of the day, use your common sense. This was one that went up because everyone's at home, right, watching bloody TV. They've run out of channels, and because they couldn't produce, now they are producing again, etc. A lot of it's just common sense. And the reason we're hard on the dribbler and these experts that, you know, that think because it went up for 2 years is because it's not realistic, and we were laughed at it, and not just us, others that have been around. And lo and behold, it's here, right? And what's the other one you wanted? There was Netflix.
Hey, mate, if you remember in the 90s, there was a group that was called Milli Vanilli. They were the greatest lip sync company ever, and they had this song, "Blame It on the Rain."
Oh, mate, you know you're not allowed to sing. You're not allowed to sing.
So you know. And so they found out some other girls that were lip singing it while they were dancing on stage.
Yeah, that's a sad story. I think they were German too. I think and didn't speak English. Milli Vanilli. I think one of them ended up unfortunately taking his own life. Yeah.
You know, it's that song all over again. You know, blame it on the rain.
Well, I guess that should be the theme market. The theme of the last 3 or 4 years for the markets, huh? You got to blame someone. I'm waiting. So I'm waiting for the aliens. They tried that one up. If you remember, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, 2 months. I don't know. They blamed it on them for a while.
Gas prices up. It's not because they cut off all the leases and.
Oh yeah. ESG. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that.
Not everything.
Mind you, I see Greta's been on the news a little bit later.
Which one?
Lately. Oh, Greta from Sweden. Is it Sweden or Denmark? I can't remember. You know, the 16-year-old that Orly. So that's what happens when you want no responsibility. You just blame someone else. Oh, we didn't know. Oh, but anyway, all jokes aside.
Our little teen scientist, the global warmer girl. I remember.
Which one?
She's.
Yeah. That's yeah. So Greta. So what's it? So here's a fact, just to finish
the whole
up.
world paying attention to her, and she was just basically, it was kind of like a parakeet. She just repeated what her parents told her.
Right. Well, that's one thing. So she's a kid. At the end of the day, she's a kid, whether she's smart or not. You've got all these politicians, particularly of a certain persuasion, put her up as the smartest thing since sliced bread. And I got to say, from the Baltics and Scandinavia, they're like, what the hell? You know, so of that going on. Anyway, fast forward, here's what I find amazing. Last month or something, it was the coldest day. Was it ever or in 100 years? It couldn't have been forever. I saw that movie Ice Age with the kids, so it wasn't that. But anyway, seriously, so it's just all made up, all this stuff as far as who to blame, who to not blame, companies. So just be aware. Like we just showed a classic example. We could, like that SCV, how the heck were we long that? Just pure luck. We knew the thing, but you don't know what's going to happen. It goes both ways. Take your profit when it's there. Work it if you know it. Like a lot of the energy plays were very straightforward and very simple if you're in that game. But
this is the Germans. They're talking about they might have rolling blackouts because they're going to cut back on buying. They're going to stick to their guns. They'd rather have rolling blackouts and freeze than buy.
Well, here's the reality. They're not going to freeze. It's not winter. And every other country around there went bang, 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 bang. We ain't buying Russian. They didn't buy Russian, other than the locked-in ones and other than Hungary. So if Germany is telling the world... So, I mean, just follow the stuff on that. As we've said many times on Nordstrom, that's a store. Nord Stream is what I was trying to say. Yeah, Nordstrom is where you buy all your fancy suits from. I know.
I mean, rolling blackouts doesn't work well for your GDP.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be about money, right? And that's the whole point with the yes to Europe, rest of Europe and Germany. So I'll give you a little tip. Germany's won no friends through all this. So anyway, on that note, go grab yourself a German beer, I guess. Hope everyone... So tomorrow, I want to say we have EIA for oil. We all know that. But I think there's a bond. Where did I think there's a bond.
Some of these pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Killing it now. They're almost back up to their highs. Just got to spend $19 billion, some of them.
You're talking about the opiate addiction stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Well, the sellers got the best deal, it looks like.
Well, the best deal was the lawyers, right?
Well, yeah, sellers too, because they only have to give up like $6 billion, and they're doing the drug business to the United States. Only the U.S. portion, the European ones, are going to sell that drug business.
Right. So let's have a quick look what's out tomorrow. Punters and dribblers. So tomorrow we have the mortgage index in the morning, which is going to be interesting how that's affected with high yields. The existing home sales. And briefing estimates that at 5.8. We've got the crude, but we have the 20-year bond market. That's going to be really interesting. If you recall last week, we had the 10-year we gave an F rating. And there was a 30-year we gave like a B minus. But that was really because that's a shorter supply one, blah, 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 sought after, and mortgage. So if you think about all that, it's a good way to fund it. So you got that out. Earnings-wise, let's see the major earnings. They should be on the weekly. Where is that? When in doubt, there you go. So let's see earnings. I know you got Tesla tomorrow. Now, is that not going to be the biggest sought after one? Because that's going to have, they're going to ask him about Twitter non-stop, right? So let's see where earnings are. There's a ton of information here, everyone. So charts. Okay, tomorrow is Wednesday. We're going to have Hasbro, which is the big toy company. They're English. Hang on, sorry, that's today. We have Abbott Laboratories tomorrow, Anthem, so some drugs, some health, another bank, MTB Bank, Nasdaq, that's going to be interesting because people want to see volume. Procter & Gamble, that's been one of the big defense players. Here's your big one, Tesla tomorrow, and United Airlines. So a lot of people like to trade those airline stocks. But they want to hear what they're saying. So if you remember what really got some negative last week was when Jamie Dimon came out, basically said they took like a $900 million loss protection out of their profits. So Tesla tomorrow, Twitter's going to be the big question. Will we hear anything about cars, Madavi, or are we just going to hear about Twitter? So anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be interesting. So I won't be in the morning. I got a little traffic situation I got to take care of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. All that money I spent on bloody lawyers and you still got to go, what the heck? Anyway, God bless America, right? So here's a little thing for the punters and dribblers. Look what just popped up. A quick little dollar there. Oil. So remember, we had, why is that? API, bigger draw. So that's all on the site. Make sure you check out Around the Barrel tomorrow. You got all the good analysts put info in that. You got Commodity Vol, who I think is probably the best reader and provider of all that data for options. Oh, it definitely is a Hall of Famer. Anyway, on that note, we will see everyone tomorrow. We will leave you with, don't be this guy. Don't be this guy. Couple of dribblers there. Don't be that guy. So we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. Like us. If you don't like us, don't tell us. We get very sensitive.
Just don't call the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. We'll catch everyone. You're killing me. Okay. Bye now.